How about now? Any different? Languages of horses. Can you hear me? Yeah, now there's sound. I, I, I don't understand this stuff, man. I really don't. One day the chat's working and then it's not working, and now the sound. I don't know. There you are. I'm here. I'm here. All right. To answer the question, how am I doing? What I said was I'm doing probably the best I've done in a while. Pain wise, I'm at about a two. So I mean, I haven't been anywhere near a two in a long, long time. Uh, you know, so I overall I'm doing good. I got my new brace the other day. I haven't put it on because I'm just sitting in this chair. But this is what I have to wear every day for the next 8 months. Every time I go anywhere, I walk, I get dressed, anything. And so normally I take it, I put it on the first thing in the morning after before I get out of bed, sit on the edge of the bed, put it on, and then just to walk to the bathroom, take it off again, take a shower. Oh, hey, look, I just got notification that I'm live. That's a good thing. Maybe that'll work today. But you know, I can't complain. I'm happy that the pain level's gone. I mean, the thing is, a pain in the tuchus. It doesn't fit underneath most clothes. I have to wear more of a baggy, like jeans or sweats in order to wear it because it does. The one part in the front, it's got about an inch gap the way it's designed. So when your leg moves, like the upper part of your thigh moves, it's got room at the top for the muscle to open and contract as you walk. So yeah, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but I'm sure I'm going to get used to it. Sounds rough. Yeah, it is. Good morning, love. How am I doing? I'm doing good, Molly. Thank you for asking. Adam, Brock, good morning. Welcome to this weekend's chat. You're a big boy, Will. Well, thank you, Reichart. I'll get used to it. It's just I've never had to wear a brace like that before. The one I had before that, it just had two Velcro straps, and it had two metal hinges to stop the knee from rotating left or right. Over rotating. But this one, it basically almost immobilizes the leg, but it's got a spring in it. So every time you lift your leg and you bend it and you lift it up, it wants to straighten your leg back out. So it's to assist. That's what it's called. It's called a resistance assist. Like bracket in there, and I have to wear that for I don't have to have that in for the whole 8 months, but I have to have it in for at least the next three, and then they'll take that out and they'll have a zero resistance. So part of it will actually come off there. That's just the outside. I actually still have the inner part on right now because it's a heck of a lot more in work to put on and take off. So let's see. Good to hear. Loved your video on the Duggars. Well, thank you. Ala Akabars, Mike Stevens, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to this morning's live stream. That word is inappropriate. What morning, Linda? Linda dishonest. Oh, good morning, small fries. So I wanted to share a story. I'm going to bring it up here on the screen this morning about something that I've been following since the actual discovery of this case and the actual remains. Um, some of you may know who this band is. Some of you may not. But they're a musical band. Maybe your parents remember the band. It all depends what your age is. I don't know what it is, but I want to bring this story up that I've been following. Human remains found in bag 40 years ago, identified as guitarist of the R&B group the O'Jays. I also don't get the Duggar thing. He's going to jail for having stuff on a computer that seems successive. Uh, Linda, it was pornography of children and videos of children as young as 3 years of age being sexually abused. That's what he had on his computer, Linda. It wasn't just he had things on his computer. He was, well, he's condoning the activity, and thus by consuming the actual product, he is supporting the actual making and abuse of minors. That is what he did. So, all right, but the human remains found in bag, identified as the R&B guitarist from the O'Jays. I've been following this case for quite a few years, and when they found the actual discovery, partial human remains discovered in a garbage bag in Twinsburg, Ohio, in 1982, had been identified as Frankie Little Jr., the guitarist for the popular R&B group the O'Jays. He disappeared, and they originally believed that the Klan had had lynched him and disposed his body because there were several threats against him and other African American musicians at the time for playing in a certain venue that the Klan didn't want them playing in. They believed that it should have remained a white only venue. That was the original theory. They still haven't identified the actual murderer of him, but this is a case that I'm actually going to be reporting on because I've been talking with a reporter who worked for the Ohio Gazette. Well, I don't think the newspaper's around, the Gazette's around anymore. They've been swallowed up by a huge conglomerate of newspapers owned by Rupert Murdoch. And some of the newspapers he shuttered, shut down completely, and other ones that are still around, but they're underneath the Rupert Murdoch label, our company. But I've been following this case for a while now, and I'm going to eventually, do a video on it here, probably within the week, because like I said, I've been following for a while. Love the O'Jays and saw this morning. Good morning, faithful one, Connie Kelly. I'm going to have to disagree with that, Linda. But you know what? That you have your opinion. I have mine about what Josh Duggar did. There is a victim. Let's not forget that he molested 5 girls on top of that under the age of 15. True, he never got his day in court to stand, for what he did. I mean, 3 of those victims were his own sisters. The police officer who investigated the actual allegations of molestation of first the 15-year-old babysitter, then the family friend, who was a little girl, 7 years of age. Those are victims, and his sisters, were all victims as well. But the police officer investigating the crime dragged his feet and waited for the investigation to get closer to the point of not being able to prosecute it, and then the statute of limitations ran out, and a lot of it was covered up by people who were connected to the church, and by the leaders within their community that were supposed to be there to protect these girls and make sure that he stood trial for it. They're victims. Maybe we didn't convict him of this crime, but we got him on this crime. We never sentenced Al Capone for murder. We know he committed massive amounts of murders, and not counting the St. Valentine's Day massacre. But we did put him in jail for internal revenue crimes, for that way. So we did get some kind of justice in that case. Sometimes you have to get a give and take. Okay, well, you know what? We can't put him in jail for this. If we can give him 30 years for the pornography, for the charges in Josh Duggar's case, because we can't prosecute him for this. But he admitted to this. He confessed to this, but he never was prosecuted and it could never be prosecuted for it. So you kind of have to give and take, in this world. Sometimes, you can't nail them for one thing, you nail them for another. And you kind of have to say, look, it's some form of justice. We can't get him on this, but we got him on that. So, like retaliation? I don't know. Hey, I miss you too. I heard the youngest victim was 3 months old. Authorities found the baby dead in another one dead. They are still looking for a third child. I can't confirm the part about the dead children miss you too, but 3 months of age was I they okay. So the youngest victim identified, or approximately, none of the victims actually had a name. According to Homeland Security, in the Josh Duggar case, they determined that the youngest one was approximately 3 to 4 years of age, and that's only going by skeletal size of how big the child is. But I think we're all splitting hairs if it's 3 months of age or if it's 3 years or 30 days old. I mean, it's sick and disgusting either way. And he never should have done it, but he did it. And when it came to Homeland Security and the prosecuting attorney in the federal case against Josh Duggar, they had him dead to center. When they rolled out that timeline of minute by minute access to the computer, and which started with a text message to Anna and telling her that he was staying late at the dealership, and then moments later the pornography being downloaded, then him accessing his own personal bank account, which the information was not stored. He had to manually type in password and account number, then downloading additional pornography, then accessing another account that had to do just with business and the licensing for selling cars, then downloading additional. And when they put that timeline together and they showed that only a couple of seconds between this and this and this, that meant he had multiple browsers open at the same time. He was downloading. As soon as that download was done, he flipped over to the other browser tab and was right there. And how else anybody else was going to be able to access it remotely? It kind of shot that theory out of the water. Well, it was another employee. No, it was you, Josh. And everybody knows it. But he's going away. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that that do these things. And unfortunately, they're out there. What is it? 87% or something like that. 87%, I think it is. Those who have consumed, no, 85 to 87% of all those who have watched or downloaded child pornography who have been caught. 85 to 87% of those who have consumed it in some method, not even counting there's a large majority of those who have also molested children. But 85 to 87% said if they had the option or the chance to have sex with a minor child of the age group for which the type of child pornography they downloaded, they said they would. 85 to 87%. Are you willing to take a chance with your child that they're not one of that 15%? Or your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews? They don't just stop at one case. They don't just consume pornography and then walk away and say, they're never going to do it again. They continue to do it. There's no curing them either. You can lock him up for 40 years, but if he doesn't get the right therapy, he's never going to get anywhere better. All you can do is hope to make him understand that these children have been victimized, and they're victims by him consuming it because he's supporting the person who actually did it. Sick. I doubt that, Linda. See, I actually looked into that when the defense brought up that it could have been somebody who accessed his computer remotely and downloaded the pornography, a hacker. Here's where the defense really tripped up, because his hard drive was partitioned into two separate units, and neither one of them knew, neither side of the hard drive knew that the pornography was there. For in order to download from the internet the pornography to that hard drive, how was the person who remotely, if it was going to be done that way, how would that person who remotely downloaded it know that hard drive was partitioned into two sections? Not even when the FBI first started looking at the computer, they didn't even know that the computer hard drive had been separated, partitioned into two parts. They found the spyware that Anna had on the computer on one side that would have flagged them and notified her if he was cheating, or if he went to like Ashley Madison or a dating site, or if he downloaded or went to Pornhub or something like that. That side of the hard drive would have warned her immediately the moment he downloaded any kind of pornography. But that pornography was downloaded only to this partitioned side, where the software that would attract it could not see it. If somebody from the outside, again, the FBI couldn't even find it, that the hard drive was partitioned just by turning the computer on and doing a forensics on it, until he told them about the software that Anna had on the computer. That's when they found out it was partitioned. You download something from the internet, you can direct it to, I want to direct this to D drive or E drive, on your computer. But when somebody would remotely download something to you, they don't have an access point where they say, okay, we're only downloading this to the F drive, because F drive is not known to A, B, and C. The computer would have picked it up, and then it would notify Anna, and they would have known about it, which then would have made her culpable of the crime and an accessory if she would have known, and it would have flagged and sent her the information that he was watching child pornography back then, because that was a year prior when he first downloaded pornography. But the defense could not answer to how somebody could remotely download it and send it to one side of the computer without it ever being flagged or notified to the other side. So that kind of blew the hacker idea out of the water. But I'm not here to do the case for the defense or for the state. I mean, federal government. They had him. He can say all he wants that it wasn't him. But if you look at the profile, he fits the profile for every single bit of it. It's not just the molestation of his sisters and others. It's everything else that he has done, and the family. And I outlined it in the video that I did the other day. That's on my channel, where you can see all the other people who have been surrounded around Josh his entire life, from ministers and elders in the church to the officer who came to the home, after, to do the investigation, who dragged his feet, on the molestation charges. He's currently doing federal time for child pornography. That officer. How many others? And I posed a question. I really want to know how many others are in the family or associated with the family who, are into child pornography. Jana's, Duggar's own, fiance, ex-lover, Caleb Williams. He's fighting the same type of charges as Josh. Exploitation, sexual exploitation of a minor. And it's rampant. And then there's other people who are connected to the political side of, Jim Bob, who are wrapped up in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Because they're on, and the reason why I brought that up is I can't prove it yet, but they are on the flight log. But they are major contributors to Jim Bob's first, not this one, but his first run for the United States Senate. But I just can't prove if they ever met Jim Bob, or if they just gave the money to his super PAC, in support of him. Those are things that that are the hard things to prove, because they don't let that stuff be known. Morgan, Adam, exactly. Well, he's guilty. What was he sentenced to? He has not been sentenced, Linda. It'll probably be, I think, May or June before he actually gets sentenced. What has he been convicted of? One count, federal count, felony, possession of child pornography. One count of receiving child pornography with knowledge. That's the key part that people keep on missing, is the knowledge that he was actually receiving the child pornography, because they had to prove not only did he have the pornography, but that he knew that he received the actual child pornography. Received. So Sensible Crimes. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you doing? I hope you had a wonderful week. I'm glad you could join us this morning. Yeah, that's the problem, Mike. At the same time, I agree that a 40-year sentence is excessive, but yeah, I live in Washington State, and we have an entire island off of the coast of Washington that has a prison that is just for sex offenders. The recidivism rate from the actual prison itself is just at about 50%. They house level 1, 2, and 3 sexual offenders. All right, not just those who are, again, who have committed crimes against children, but rape, people who've been convicted of rape, sodomy, and other sexual crimes. They go to this prison because they have to be isolated away from other, the general population. Otherwise, well, they're pretty much a death sentence. But they have a 50% recidivism rate. I mean, that's lower than the recidivism rate for, from a normal prison. But at the same time, they can't help them, and they keep on catching these people who've been, brought back into society 20 years later, 15 years later, after their sentence and their education and therapy and everything else. They constantly catch these people again in probation and parole violations for other minor crimes. Oh, you didn't have child pornography, but now you're into hardcore bondage videos instead. That's still a violation of your sentencing. So now you were convicted of rape and sodomy before against a child, but now you're into this instead. I mean, they keep on finding all these recidivism, these new crimes that they're committing, and that's the thing is, even in psychology, they know that there's nothing that they can do to actually cure these people of their background, of what they do and what they're into and what they like and what motivates them, to do these things. The only thing they can do is hope to stop them, make them understand that these are victims and have some compassion, and they tried everything from chemical castration, physical castration, psychotherapy, drugs, and anything to take away the sex drive and the motivation for them to want to do, and commit these crimes. Nothing's worked. How long do you keep them in prison for? Is 15 years enough for somebody who molests children? Is that long enough if they've only done it twice or been convicted of two, but may have done 10? It would it be okay to send them to prison for 25 years if they, you know, raped one child and videotaped it and then sent that out to other people to watch and enjoy, like the Josh Duggars of the world? Then thus again victimizing that child again. Would 25 years be too much? Yeah, that's where in society we don't know what the right answer is. How long should someone spend in jail for possession of marijuana in a state that's illegal? Should somebody end up doing life if they've been a small time pot dealer? No. No, we think that's wrong as a society, but yet we allow it to happen because we don't know where the line is that you say this is too much. This is enough, because we have to judge each case by itself and then determine the actual sentencing for each person based on the evidence itself. And just like Josh, a jury of his own peers convicted him. It wasn't just a judge, one person, with the federal government slamming the gavel and saying, away with you to 40 years of federal pound me in the ass prison. It was 12 of his own peers who convicted him. And he was found guilty. It didn't take that long. It took, what, a day and a half to come back with a guilty verdict on everything? Well, it's only 2 charges, but still. That's what's hard. If you've never served on a jury, it's hard to actually sit down and say, look, with a clear, open mind, and judge a person based on the activity that they actually did, and but not knowing what the backstory is of what sent them in that direction. And there are people, who have been abused and molested themselves, who then turn around and do the same things that happened to them because they don't know how to control it, because the abuse and the emotions and everything else that happened to them as a child, nobody helped, them, anywhere. So they turn around and do it to others. It's sad. The system just keeps on repeating itself over and over again. Kevin, good morning. The truth is the church is guilty of cover up. Oh, hell yeah, Kevin. Yeah, you are absolutely right there. That church that of the Baptist Christian Fundamentalist Church that the Duggars belong to. There, Josh isn't the only one. Bill Goffhart and Richard Meeks, and what's the other guy's name? I have it here somewhere. Caleb Williams. They're all part of the same church. Um, Joseph Hutchinson, that's the former police officer who's doing time for child pornography. Richard Gothard, Richard Meeks, Caleb Williams. They're all part of the same church. And the church has covered up for them for years. Bill Gothard, he has allegations against him of inappropriate touching, is how it was reported. Inappropriate touching of minor children going back to the mid 1980s. I mean, hell, Josh's first allegation was in 2003. We're now at 21. That's 18 years. What the hell happened in 18 years? Do you think he started and did it once and then said, that was fun. I'm not going to do that again? Oh, he did it. He kept on doing it. I just hope that he never did anything to his own daughters, because it's going to be several years down the road before we'll probably ever even know if he did, if we ever do, because the church has covered up so much of it so far. And they believe, and they actually hand out a book to children at the age of 10 or younger. I mean, part of their teachings is that your body does not belong to you; it belongs to God, and whatever shall happen to you and your body is the will of God. It's right there, like a second page, like maybe I think it was like the third paragraph. Little picture of a little girl next to a lamb with her arm around the neck of a little lamb. I'm right in there in the book, and it's just like, oh, are you kidding me? All that's doing is teaching children. If somebody molests you, don't tell anybody, because it's God's will. And yes, their church is listed as a cult, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Good morning, Colleen. How dare you offend me? I love that name. These guys think they're untouchable. A lot of them do. A lot of them do. I don't agree with that. Oh yeah, Adam. I'm sure it does run a lot deeper. I mean, if the entire church built up a what's the word I'm looking for? A culture that is from the top down, and the Duggars they've never been church elders. They were never the founding members of the church. They're not even on the third tier of those in the outreach program. They're down here along with the rest of the congregation towards the bottom. But everything else downward, from the top, the founding members of the church, all the way down, there's allegations and actual criminal activity when it comes to women and to children, over and over again through the entire structure. Yeah, they've built a culture, that is a lot larger. And it's not surprising to find, other people who've committed multiple sex crimes, and that have never been prosecuted, you know, from the top down, and especially down at the bottom, when the culture actually encourages it, or teaches it to victims. Don't report this. Uh, we're going to do it this way, and God says it's not your body to do with what you want. Your body belongs to God, and it's His will that this happens to you. That's sick. I don't care who you are. That's sick. All right. I'm still here. I have not gone anywhere. I just turned the camera off for a couple of minutes. But I'm still here. Oh, Chad Dumbbell. Yeah. Well, they're Chad and Lori are a whole another bowl of Fruit Loops. Is the best way. The runaway train of Chad and Lori. I just can't. They're looking at another year, not like next month, 2022, but 2023 before they'll be ready for trial. I can't take another year of listening or reading about the dumb shit that Chad Daybell believes in. Oh, and by the way, um, after the new year, most of his books will no longer be on print demand by Amazon. Amazon has finally decided that they will not print any more of his books. It's not Amazon, the company that actually prints the books. It's their subsidiary that actually prints books on demand. He has another company that is his actual publisher that still will be printing his books, but Amazon has decided that they will no longer be printing his books on demand. So if anybody wants to rush out and get all of Chad's books, you're gonna have to do it really quickly because after the new year, they're not gonna. I think it's like the 10th of January is the last day that they're gonna be publishing, printing the books on demand. But anyways, they're a whole nother basket of Fruit Loops. Will's lighting a doobie. No, no. But speaking of marijuana, though, I am going to a dispensary after this. I have to take my father-in-law over to the dispensary. He uses, um, let's say that he uses it very recreationally. What are you doing? Oh, Frenchy toasty sticks. It's one of my son's favorites. Is French toast sticks. They're in the big freezer.
Got him.
All right.
Hi, Stream.
That was my wife. She says hello. Oh, she says hello, Stream. Last book you'd read. Juicy Jules, full on Merry Christmas from Colorado. Well, thank you, Juicy Jules. That reminds me, I got to call my sister. She lives in Colorado. She's down near the Denver area. I gotta text her or call her. I keep on forgetting that in life you get busy, you don't see people on a regular basis. And find out how her and all her kids are doing. Short Nice. Hello, Crystal. Merry Christmas. I will let her know after the stream. Short Nice that you said Merry Christmas to her. She came out here to. I saw her on the security camera on the other monitor. It's on the other side of the camera here. That she was coming out here. But we have two deep freezes in here that are just outside of my studio. We have large deep freeze and we have an upright freezer, deep freeze. So she was out coming up to get French toast sticks. They're already pre-made and pre-cooked. All you gotta do is just you take the package, you throw it in the microwave. But my son loves the things. He won't eat normal French toast at like Denny's or IHOP or any place, but he'll eat the hell out of those French toast sticks. He loves them. You live in the western slopes? Is that the language of horses? Is that the western slopes of Colorado, or I don't know where that is. I mean, I guess you could consider me in the western slopes too. I'm just outside of the Cascades. Yep, I'm doing that, Rykard. Just what kind of, I have a friend who trusts emails. Recommendations for the Mayo Clinic, etc. We need to teach social media awareness and critical thinking. That's something that is missing in a lot of society, sensible crime. People who can think for themselves. A large section of society, and I'm very, I believe this very much. A large section of society nowadays has given up on critical thinking and thinking for themselves. They believe what they've put them pigeonholed themselves in one train of thought and thinking that everything that supports their what they like and what they want to hear on social media in the news is going to be the truth, and it's the only possible truth. They don't think for themselves anymore. I have a friend with an MBA who falls for conspiracy theories. I have a family member who has about I think 12 different letters at initials after their name professionally. Um, all medical different licenses. She has I think 3 doctorates, and she is convinced in the one world theory, and she's convinced that also on top of it that COVID was made to rule and control the population. Yeah, they did to some extent, but she believes that it was man-made on purpose to as a dry run of sorts to what a dystopian society that's going to lead to a one world nation. And she really believes in this stuff. It's kind of interesting talking to her sometimes though on the phone. Like, wow, really? I didn't know that. Since flat Earth. Did you guys see the story that was on the internet the other day about the tragically they lost 10 surfers in a the world champion flat Earth Society surfing contest. 10 surfers. Yeah, they went up too high on the waves and they went off the backside of the wave and they fell off the earth. 10 world champion, former champion, surfers. It's tragic. They're just floating out there in outer space now. That and all their surfboards. Good morning, Sarah. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier. As for a COVID man-made, it's more of an altered. Sounds like a movie. Yeah. You know what? I don't know where COVID came from, and frankly, it in my life, it doesn't fucking matter. And sorry for using that language, but when I got COVID, I didn't give a rat's ass where it came from. I just wanted it to be gone. I didn't care if it was made in a laboratory or if somebody got it from having sex with a monkey. I didn't care. And when you get it, and if it almost kills you like it almost killed me, you don't give a rat whatever where it came from. You just want it gone. That's the way I look at it. I can't control the what wherever the hell it came from or how it got here. I can certainly do whatever I can to protect my family and myself now. I'm not going to large sporting events or concerts with 50,000 other people to, hopefully, that the air conditioning within the system is scrubbing the air, appropriately so everybody doesn't get the COVID or the what are we on now? Omni something. It's hard to keep track. The new variants pop up, and that's the way viruses work, though. Just like the flu virus, every year the flu virus mutates. We can build up, a shot, and things to give for the flu, but it's not going to be 100% effective against the flu next year. And the, coronavirus is going to be the same way. We're going to have to keep on chasing it until we get, worldwide immunity, herd immunity or through, vaccination. It's just going to keep on coming up. And then, if we ever are able to catch up to it and actually, eradicate it, kind of like the Spanish flu, to some extent, because even when we eradicated it from, Western, society, there were small pockets of the Spanish flu that did get out and killed a lot of people, especially in countries like in the Amazon and stuff like that. It did get out to there, and in Borneo, it was extraordinarily destructive to some of those places. But even if we are able to catch up to the coronavirus, and eradicate it, there are 1,000 other viruses that are out there right now that they're watching, and they're praying that they never make the jump from animal species to human beings, because some of them would be extraordinarily, if it would wipe out the human population if they ever were to get into the human population. And they're scientists. That's all they do is they, in certain fields, I can't remember what they call them. My wife knows what it is, but she's not in here with me. I believe COVID is here to stay. I want some resemblance, Adam, of my life back. I think I had a pretty good life before it. I enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed my traveling. And I could go from town to town, city to city, state to state, and visit with people. I want that back. And it's gone. And with this COVID, I can't have that back. I want that back though. I want some resemblance of my life back before the COVID. I'd like to go visit my family. I FaceTime and Zoom and stuff is okay for a while, but after a couple of years of it, it's like I'm tired of it already. I just want to go see them in person. But zoonotics, thank you, Sensible Crime. Thank you very much. I was hoping that somebody would know what it is. You're absolutely right. It's zoonotics. But there are scientists, who in the field of zoonotics, who study the viruses that are in the animal population, that are close. If they were to make the jump from animal species to humans, would pretty much wipe out the face of the earth of the human species. And there's no look at here in America, at the height of the virus outbreak. I mean, everybody from the president down, from his cabinet, they all got it. Didn't matter how sheltered you were, it still found a way in. So it's terrible, and there's a lot of reasons why we're seeing a lot more of these outbreaks now than before. And it's not necessarily because people are in a laboratory releasing it. It's because we're encroaching more and more upon that barrier that used to be between human beings, and the jungle and the forest. We're encroaching more and more into that buffer zone, and we're getting closer and closer to it. I mean, look at for hundreds of years, nobody caught some of the diseases that were carried by mice. I'm sure Hepavirus and stuff like that was we transmitted to human beings quite a bit, in the old west. But the red tick disease that's carried by mice, that didn't make a jump into human beings until the 1930s, because people were encroaching more and more into the areas where these things have been around forever. And it doesn't even hurt the mice. That they live with it, and it's just there because their bodies have built up an immunity over the hundreds and thousands of years, or however long mice have been around, that they've built up an immunity to it. Where now here humans come along and interact with that species, and well, that thing makes a jump from the mice to human. Boom. I think we need to encourage deer hunting to help control the Lyme disease. I think we should encourage people to, along that same line, Sensible Crime, to grow a garden, become less uh, dependent upon the food chain. If we haven't learned anything by now through all this, we should learn at least that. You go to the grocery store and all the shelves are empty because people panic buy everything up. We should, you could build, even if it's a small little garden, in a flower pot, garden, or you can do a hydroponic, water tower in an apartment and grow tomatoes and carrots and potatoes and stuff like that, and then can them. We should teach society to become less dependent upon, the service industry, the restaurants, and the grocery store being there for you from here on out. So, and along with that, though, I would agree. Hunting, and gathering of, resources. I love deer hunting myself, but Lyme disease and wasting disease. That's what we have, a lot of wasting disease in elk and deer in my state. And they're actually paying hunters to go out and take down these deer herds that have the wasting disease in them. That's awful. CDC says 40% of the people with COVID have no symptoms. And good morning, Francie. Yes, asymptomatic. Asymptomatic. There was a huge outbreak of COVID in the NFL this past week. They had them actually move several games from Saturday to Monday and Tuesday. So they're actually NFL games 4 days this week. If you're a football fan, or your husband or your boyfriend or son or whoever, but there are 4 games that have been moved: the Seahawks and Rams, the No Name and the Eagles, and the Raiders and the Browns. Those 3 games have been moved, and there's another one that they may move as well. It all depends on, because this huge outbreak of COVID from within players. So I totally agree, Connie. But fresh produce, I grow whatever we can eat during the year, and then I can a lot, which is ridiculously easy to do as long as you can show someone how to properly do it and you know what you're doing. And it's not that hard to can things. Yeah, I mean, mason jars. What you can get, like there's 3, 6, 9, 12 in a box. Ball mason jars. You've got the lid and everything there. All you need is a pot that you can submerge it in. But you can carrots or tomatoes or potatoes or whatever you want to, preserve for later on, as long as you know how to do it, properly, so you don't, end up, locking in bacteria and kill yourself later. Yeah, I'm getting that next, Connie Caddy. Good morning, Debbie. That's my wife wants to get next is chickens. We were supposed to get chickens from a friend of ours, but I guess a coyote or something got 2 of his or 3 of his chickens. So, but he was gonna bring us over a hen, a pen, not a hen, a pen, and chickens. Yeah. We've got enough cats around here. I'm sure even if I do get them, that the cats will find a way to get to them. But my wife wants to do is get chickens. Pink Camo, good morning. Chat finally, happy holidays, everyone. Well, happy holidays to you too, Pink Camo. We don't have a huge house, and a lot of people think that I'm rich, or because I live in a gated community. I really do. But it was a gated community for scientists who worked on the Manhattan Project, but they're all gone, and they pretty much abandoned this area. And then us lonely, cheap folks bought up their houses for a fraction of what the actual costs were. We all moved in, so it's a gated community, but not really. Not like gated community with rich people. I mean, my backyard is I don't have much of a front yard there, and I can't do anything with the front yard even if I wanted to, because it's a homeowner society, association that controls the house colors and the yard and how that looks, and they actually take care of the front yards of every house. But our backyard is probably the grass area. oh, I'd say probably 20 feet by 40. I mean, it only takes me about 15 minutes to mow and edge it all, during the summertime. But the rest of it is above ground garden beds. Those were there when we bought the house, though. My wife managed to weed one garden bed out of six during COVID. Super Check Cat. Hey, Will, long time no see. This is true. How have you been, Super Chat Cat? Hope you've been doing well and welcome. Glad you could join us this morning. They all disappeared into the walls. Wills, how's your TP going? Physical therapy, Francie? Not bad. Not bad at all. I have to say that today, Francie, pain wise, I'm at about a 2 right in there. I haven't felt this good in quite some time. I just got I was showing everybody earlier. This is my new best friend for the next 8 months. This is my knee brace. Obviously, I'm not wearing it right now because, well, I'm just sitting here in this chair. But overall, I have to say that I haven't been this at this low of a pain level um, probably about a year. It's been about at least a year since I've been at this level. Before the surgery, I was at about a 4, 5. Normally sometimes spiking as high as like an 8. And then after the surgery, while most of my leg was bruised up, it was up there pretty good, 5 to 9 right in there, most of the time. But I'm at a 2 today, so I can't complain. But thank you for asking. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm doing exactly what the doctors tell me I need to do for the physical therapy. So, and my hopes are that I can make it at least another 4, maybe 5 years before I have to have that. We know, I mean, we already knew before this surgery, before the ligament replacement. We know, and we knew then that down the road, I'm going to have a complete knee replacement. That's a given. We already knew that because I have almost no meniscus left at all. It's almost nothing there. I mean, literally nothing. So it's going to eventually end up bone on bone, and of course then the pain's going to go up and discomfort, and then it's just going to cause more and more problems to the point where I'm going to have a meniscus, and bone reconstruction, or to have a complete knee replacement. They know that that's the path that I'm on. There isn't anything they can do to um, stop it. So doing the best I can now, and I'm hoping to get at least 4 or 5 years before I have to get to that point. So Cyborg Will, yep, I'm going to become the $3 million man, right, Cart? Excuse me. So this is just a general, okay? I'm sure I'm missing something here. In the last 7 years, ladies and gentlemen, I've had knee surgery on both knees once. I had orthoscopic on both knees. Then I had a complete reconstruction of my left leg knee. Then I had back surgery. Then I had surgery on my shoulder. Then I had surgery on both forearms. Then I had my gallbladder removed. Then I had surgery on my foot. And then now my knee. That's the last 7 years. To say that when I was younger, I lived fast and I died hard, didn't give a whatever about my body, and I just did whatever, figure I'll recuperate later on, and I kept on ignoring things as they piled up. It'd be an understatement. Oh, did I say back surgery? I had back surgery too. That's 7 years. Yeah, I haven't exactly taken care of my body all that well over the years. I am now because my wife is, is making me that. And I want to be around for, the without having to use a walker, for the rest of my life. Watch my son because I'll be retired before my son graduates from high school. I'm not joking. He's in kindergarten now. I will be retired before he gets out of high school. Well, I'm going to call you Evil Knievel. Willimator, I'll be back. I think the brown eggs have a deeper yellow yolk. We get some now, Connie, that we get from we go to a farmer's co-op that are free range eggs. And the eggs are between a white and a light tan, not really a deep brown. But the yolk colors are definitely a lot of a deeper yellow as compared to like mass produced egg yolk, which is a lot lighter in color. And they're, from what I understand from our my wife's family physician, is the free range ones that we get are actually a lot better. They're higher in vitamin content. So we take all the eggshells and throw them in the compost bin. They seem to be doing pretty good in the compost bin with the eggshells because as they break down, they add calcium back to the soil. Or $1 million man. All the things we did when we were younger definitely catches up to us. It's true. I'm upset you're taking Taco Podcast off YouTube. I don't use those other forms. Super Chat Cat. Yeah, that's the way it's moving along though. If I could find somebody that would be interested in doing the podcast with me, I'd consider keeping it on YouTube. But um, I already do 3 channels that have me in front of the camera, that have the audio and the visual aspect of it. I already do that on 3 channels, and the podcast is a 4th channel. That I know originally it started off with, excuse me, with me and my wife, and that's it was intended to be her, just the two of us talking about topics. But unfortunately, it didn't matter what we did; it just never caught on. And then now life got in the way where everything's kind of been thrown up in the air because now we're taking care of my mother on top of it all. Oh, she's got 2 people to take care of, plus work, and then her own streaming, channel and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe if I find someone down the road, I've asked my daughter if she'd be interested in doing it, but she only has, every other week she gets 2 days off. Otherwise, she only gets 1 day off because she's in end of life care. Um, so she's busy, and then she's already working for me on top of it. Taking care of my social media. Just don't know of anybody that I can call on to be able to do the podcast with me. Oh yeah, I was just saying, super chat cat. I've asked her, but she only has a finite amount of time, off of work. One week she gets 1 day off, then the following week she gets 2 days, and she's trying to have somewhat of a social life, and she's thinking about going back to school herself. So at this point right now, it just looks like it's going to, I'm going to have to take the podcast because I can record the podcast anywhere. I don't have to have the lights and the camera. I'm eliminating half of the equipment right there, and I can record the podcast, while driving, running errands, and then edit it all together, and it's so it's seamless and nobody would know. and then I can upload that to SoundCloud or one of the podcasting networks. We were on SoundCloud for the longest time, and we were doing pretty good on SoundCloud traffic wise, and people who were downloading it to listen later. Will, do you have Christmas dinner all planned? For the most part, Francie. For the most part, my mother-in-law is doing half of it. I'm doing part of it, and then my sister, who's coming over, and her eldest child is doing the other part. So kind of like a potluck. We took the entire meal and we divided it up into three parts. This household's doing one part. This house doing one part, and then I'm doing one part. Ask Scott Reich about podcasting. How about my sister? Yeah, my sister is extraordinarily busy. Super chat cat. She works in life in a nursing home, and then she has her horse and then her kids, and that pretty much takes up her time. Tim would do it, but he lives 340 some miles away right now from me, so he's not an option. But if he relocates here after the new year, I mean, he would do it, and then it'd be the two of us. But it's all in flux right now. We'll figure something out. Hello, Charles. Good evening. I hope or afternoon, morning, whichever it may be where you are. Welcome to this morning's stream. I hope you have a great weekend. So, Connie Kelly, you said to ask Scott Reich about what? Podcast? I mean, I know that he does his podcast, but he has somebody who works for him full time, and that's all they do is they edit his programs, his actual crime talk, and they upload and they take care of all his social media, and then he has another person that takes care of just the podcast and and the other aspects of managing that. I don't have the funds to pay anybody to do it. Don't have the funds at all to do it. And you'll all find out about that and where my channel is going. This channel 411 now, and everything else. I'm in the middle of right now filming my year in review. So that'll put more light on where all my channels are going and what's coming up in the new year, and everything else. I'm going to talk about a little bit of what's gone right, what's gone wrong. 2021 wasn't the best year for a lot of things. I'm still obviously like even today. I started off this morning. The volume for some reason wasn't working. I don't know why I buy all this technology, and when sometimes it doesn't work at all. I mean you're watching me on a Canon ESO 3, and this is a Canon PowerShot SX530. I love this camera. It's simple. It is idiot proof as you can get in 4K. But I've never ever, and it's got built-in Wi-Fi. I've never been able to get the Wi-Fi to work on this thing, not once. It's not just me. My wife has tried it. My daughter has tried it. The guy at the camera store tried it, and he was able to get it to actually the Wi-Fi to turn on and stay on. Nobody else has been able to figure out how to get it to work. So it's a useless feature on that camera and the camera that you're watching right now. The only way I can get that Canon to work that you're watching me on right now is by plugging it directly into the computer, and then it syncs to the computer, the tower. It's the only way the Wi-Fi will turn on. podcast, yes. Yeah. The only person I ever hear from, well, I won't. It's not like I message Scott a lot, but I've messaged him a couple of times. But I think it's his assistant or one of his assistants is the only one that's ever messaged me back or replied to a comment. There's nothing wrong with that. He's obviously a busy man. He's a full-time attorney. He's got a family. Somebody else pointed out not too long ago just how many similarities there are between the two of us. I said I don't see it at all. I mean, yeah, sure, we both were in the United States Marine Corps. He went in one direction. He went into law. I didn't. I don't see the similarities otherwise. Yeah, I think we happen to be in the same niche area of crime, and factual information and getting the truth out there and not jumping onto the speculation, and rumor bandwagon. Because obviously drama sells. If I really wanted to be more successful at this, I'd find a smaller or larger YouTube channel to fight with constantly to get more people to tune in, make more money. People give you all that super chat money. Here you go, take all my money. Thank you for fighting and becoming a complete asshole. I'm not kidding. That really is what sells online on the internet. Semper Fi. I bought a Chinese camera for $35 and it's really not bad, yet disposable. There are some that are on the internet on Amazon that you can get that are actually really good cameras that are really super cheap, like that, Charles. Um, I have one around here somewhere, but I have no idea where it is right now. It's actually a camcorder, camera, and everything all in one. I think I paid like $60 for it on Amazon. I mean, it would work perfectly well right now, and I'd be using it right now if it wasn't for it was on the tripod, and my son knocked it off the tripod and it cracked the screen. So when you actually use it now, you see a line that goes across the screen at an angle. And I asked the what would to find out what it would be to replace it. It's not worth it. It costs more to replace it than it's worth. So well, I still sometimes use it for audio recording. The microphone and the boom still work off of it. It's not the camera itself. Will read Josh Duggar case. Does someone with possession of child pornography get as long of a sentence as someone who makes child pornography? That's an interesting question, Super Chat Cat. And I'm going to be honest with you, I do not know the actual figures on that, on where if somebody, how long of a sentence would somebody get, for possession versus manufacturing. That's a good question. That's something I'm going to have to look into, and I'm going to write it down so I don't forget it. I will definitely look into that and get back to you with the answer. I mean, common sense says that somebody who produces it should get a longer sentence, but I don't know that for sure. So I will definitely look into it to see what the answer is to that. Am I able to drive yet, Francie? No, no, because of the. Well, I mean, I guess I could, but I don't. I just don't want to try it because of the narcotics that I'm on. It kind of makes me, my mentally foggy. So I just don't want to, I don't know how I could live with myself if I was to get into an accident and hurt somebody if I was driving. So I just choose not to at this point. I'm sure I could. I just don't want to. In a lot of, I guess, in a lot of aspects, though, along with that, I was just thinking there's a lot of things that I probably could do, but I'm not going to. And I asked one of the first things I asked my physical therapist when I went was, "So how long until I can start golfing again?" He he looked right at me and he goes, "Well," he goes, "right now," he goes, "I'm going to say probably not for at least a couple months." Because first, the part we need to do is get the swelling, down and in your leg. And start with that, and then let's get range of motion, and then start rebuilding some of the muscle loss that you've had in the knee and in the the um, man, I can't remember the names of the muscle groups now. I'm drawing like it's like also it was right there. It's like gone. Um, Loss of muscle because I have some muscle apathy, whatever they call it, in the leg. It's been so long since I've been bracing it and ignoring the actual issue that I didn't realize myself that I was actually losing muscle in the leg, and some of it is going to it's permanent damage, and other it'll come back, but it's my own dumb fault. I kept on putting it off. If not, the fin should disguise behavior. Will, can you at least get out of the store, etc., if someone drives you? Oh yeah. Well, I've been to the store quite a bit. Don't like it, especially right now. People are just nuts. Okie dokie. Good morning. How are you doing, sweetheart? I hope you had a wonderful week. I'm glad you could join us this morning. I think a lot of us wonder if the feds will go after the makers of Duggar's Entertainment because they're monsters. Well, see, that's always the hardest part. And I was trying to explain to like somebody else. It was on another stream. I don't remember if I was on my channel or if I was over on my friend's channel. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. He streams on Facebook. But I was trying to explain the situation when it comes to how hard it is to actually catch the manufacturers of child pornography on the dark web. Okay, now you can if a state on the state level. Let's just first I'll start with that. On the state level, let's just say that the state is investigating, a crime against a child, and they stumble upon that the individual was molesting and producing child pornography. Boom, they got it. They caught him on it. That's easy to catch. And they could also turn that over to the feds, and the feds could prosecute it. But those are the easy cases to catch. The hard ones are when these files are uploaded to the internet, and how it works is basically this. There's more steps to this, but I'm not going to give a roadmap to all those out there who want to consume it or make it. This you go onto the dark web and you type in a search query. It brings up like a list of different things. Then there's another search engine. You then put a search query, it actually gives you a list of different files. Some of them might give you a sneak preview of what's inside the file, so you can hover over it and then watch a little bit of what's in it. But otherwise, you can, they have a price. You agree to the price with them. you trade cryptocurrency or something for that product. You download it, and then it's yours to do whatever you want. But how that stuff ends up on the dark web is they use systems like not Nord, but a VPN server. So they disguise where they are, where it's coming from. So that's disguised, this is disguised, and then the download to that actual dark web is disguised as well. So all these paths are and they can be right there next to each other. All you're doing is just downloading it directly to the dark web, but it looks like it's going up here to Iceland, and then it's going from Iceland, and then it's being downloaded in St. Louis to the dark web. And the FBI and the Homeland Security is sitting there trying to monitor the traffic as it's coming in, and they try to catch that stuff as it's coming in and it's being posted, so they can quickly try to trace back through these servers as fast as they can to try to get an idea of where it's really coming from, where to send investigations. A lot of times what they've done, and their most successful cases have been where they've caught large numbers of the individuals, is they actually set somebody in as an undercover and they catch them that way. Hey, yeah, I'll buy this stuff from you. Where are you at? Let's meet up. Let's put it on a thumb drive, and they meet up and they catch them that way. Do you know of anybody else who'd be interested in this? Oh, you're only interested in little girls. Well, I happen to have videos on little boys. Do you know anybody who's interested in little boys? And they network, and they don't blow the cover right away. They don't catch. Okay, we know that person. We caught that person. They let that person just go, and they try to work their way up through the system to the bigger fish in the system. And that's how the larger amount of cases have been caught. Josh Duggar, being the dumbass that he is, you know, first off, he admitted to in the trial that he actually knew how to get onto the dark web, and he knew about torrent and all these other systems that are out there to help cloak and hide your activities on the internet. Um, his excuse to why he was on the internet doing this, it was just laughable. But and he was able to be caught because he was using a personal ISP, his own personal ISP, instead of masking his actual traffic through a VPN server or another VPN server. Like some of them do, and you could have 10, 15, and you could like have one VPN that is accessing another VPN, which is then accessing another VPN. And then it's almost impossible after so many of those to actually be able to track where that it's coming from. But Josh used his own ISPN, his own internet address was tagged on every single one of the transactions and everything that he did. But and like I said, no, he's not the brightest cookie out there. So Will, can you at least get out of the story? I read that one. I think a lot of us wonder if the feds will go after. So to answer your question, is okie dokie. Yeah, they're trying. They're constantly trying to catch the actual manufacturers of child pornography. It's hard though, and and just like the detective who worked for Homeland Security in the Josh Duggar case. And when he said that when he viewed what Josh Duggar had downloaded and what he had on his actual computer, that it was some of the most disgusting child pornography that he has ever seen. And 30 years of law enforcement investigating these type of crimes, it was the worst of the worst shit that he has ever seen. That's pretty bad. I'm almost certain that there's no way I could ever do that job. Let alone that it's children. I don't think I could ever put myself in a position where I was investigating crimes, even against women. Because you think that the things that are disgusting that happens to children, there's a lot more that happens, out there, to full-grown adults, that is out there. Actual real snuff movies where the victim is murdered in the end of the movie. They don't walk away from it. They're dead. And some of the largest serial killers ever caught, you know, they've enjoyed some of these things and they've watched them, and it's kind of how they get their rocks off. It's sad. Will Josh Duggar go to a regular jail, or do they send them somewhere different? Charles, so to answer your question, when it comes to Josh Duggar and his once he's convicted of the and sentenced to his actual crime in the state of Arkansas, the federal government does not have a federal prison in the state of Arkansas that has a separate housing unit just for sex offenders. The closest ones are in Oklahoma and in Texas, federal prisons that have separate housing units just for sex offenders. Now, there is a possibility, though, that they could say, okay, since you and your family live here, it would be an issue if we sent you out of state to do your time. We will sentence you to this state penitentiary. You will go to this state penitentiary that has a sex offender housing unit, and you will do your federal time inside of a state prison. He doesn't get any of the benefits other than that it's state. He's in state. He doesn't get the time off for good behavior. He doesn't get the work for furloughs. He doesn't get none of the other benefits that he would outside of the benefits he'd get in the federal system. That's a possibility, and that's one of the reasons why it's taking so long until sentencing. They have to evaluate him, his security risk. They have to evaluate what kind of services he's going to need. They have to evaluate what kind of medical services he's going to need now and in the future for all of those. And they have, once they determine the entire risk profile for him, then they have to decide where is the best place to put this inmate. They could just say, you know what, we're going to send you to New York. He doesn't really get a chance, and it's not really up to the family to say, well, it would be an inconvenience for us to go visit Joshy Poo, in New York, if you guys sent him there. The federal government doesn't really give a rat's ass where they send you, and a lot of times, in the state prison system, they don't care either. You know, it wasn't exactly the most convenient place to send Christopher Watts. He committed his crime in Colorado. His family lives in the Carolinas, and they sent him to, Wisconsin. They could have sent him to a prison that was closer to his parents or left him in Colorado, but they went out to the network and they said, this prison has availability. That's where you're going. If they have an agreement with them, that's where they go. But to answer your question, no, they never will put him anywhere near general population. It would be a death sentence, and a lot of people have problems with that. They say, well, why? Why don't you just put him in general population, in a regular prison? Let the problem take care of itself. As part of the fair and ethical treatment agreement with the Geneva Convention, we all agreed, Western and modernized societies, and for the large part, have agreed that you will not stick an inmate in a place where it would be immediate danger to them, or stick them in a place where it'd be immediate danger to other inmates. We've all agreed upon this as a modern society, and it's part of the Geneva Convention again that you'll never do this. So you can't just stick the Josh Duggar, out on the rec yard, at Pennsylvania State Penitentiary or Ohio State, penitentiary. I mean, he'd be murdered right away. That's a given. I mean, the inmates would take care of the problem themselves, because when it comes to the hierarchy of inmates in prison, child predators, people who abuse and hurt children are the lowest of the low. They're never ever going to work their way up in the system to have any hierarchy in the prison system. And a lot of times, if they convict someone of a crime against a child, they purposely send them out of state and they change their background so other inmates do not find out about their original crimes because, well, they're going to kill them. They're going, if they don't kill them right away, they're going to abuse them. They're going to extort them. They're going to do whatever, and that still happens even in the housing units, of the prisons that are segregated just for those type of inmates. They prey upon each other. You know, it happens. I mean, look how many times, you know, uh, what the hell's his name? Kevin, the one that abducted. I don't, that's I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it happens even within those units themselves. They have their own hierarchy of sexual predators within their own, housing units. Oh, you're just a rapist. You're up here. Oh, you abused children. You're down here. Tracy Ann, good morning. Broken Justice, good morning. Welcome, both of you. I hope you both had a wonderful week. I'm still here. I have not gone anywhere. You have not lost your internet connection. So, what does everybody else have planned for the holiday? Are you going to gather with friends and family, drink eggnog with a little bit of rum in it, sing Christmas carols at your local church? Oh, I'm sorry, okie dokie. That sounds painful as heck. I'm sorry about that. Now, I hope you start to your leg feels better and everything else soon. Like really sick for the last 2 weeks. You don't feel like doing anything this year. Sleep and relax, Kubi. I think that's what my wife plans. My son is off for winter break, so he's home for the next 2 weeks. Well, we're gonna have to entertain the little man as much as we can. It snowed here last night. We got our well, this is the second time. I mean, we're talking a dusting. It's not any kind of real accumulation, but I'm sure the line at the tire shops are around the block. People freak out anytime it snows here. But my wife plans on doing is sleeping and relaxing, not doing much of anything at all. The two of them will probably play some board games and watch cartoons, just chill out. She'll take all the snuggles. I will get no snuggles. You teach fourth grade, you need the rest. Oh, yeah, fourth graders can be a handful. And my little man is only in kindergarten. But we have a daughter, the two of us, me and my wife. We have a daughter that's older. She's 23. They're 18 years apart. Well, totally planned, by the way. You have no sound? I'm sorry. Is the sound working for everybody else? Hopefully it didn't turn off again. No, it doesn't have a line through it. That's what it had last time. This line it had a red line through it. It doesn't. I don't see it on my end this time. Sounds good. Sorry, Broken Justice. Are you using headphones? Maybe they're not. It's not plugged in all the way, or it's turned off on your end. You have mute on your end on. Debbie, this sounds working for Debbie too. Well, yeah, I don't know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up this morning's stream. Now, remember, tomorrow night we have music trivia tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's Pacific Daylight Time, so adjust that accordingly to wherever you are. And that will be the last trivia night for the year 2022. I know there is one more Sunday, the 20. Sorry, kicked the tripod there. I know there is one more Sunday in the year, the 26th of December, but I'm not doing a live stream the 26th. I'm going to be enjoying the entire day of the 26th with my son, and just the two of us are going to sit around and drink hot cocoa and eat potato chips or whatever the 5-year-old decides that we're going to eat that day. I probably will be eating a lot of gummy bears. But I'm taking the day off that Sunday just to spend with him. So again, this Sunday will be the last trivia night for the year, and then we'll resume after the new year. But 7 p.m. tomorrow night, music trivia, 30 questions, all music. I will, and you and everybody, if I don't see you before then, in the trivia night, everyone have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you have a happy New Year, or happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or what's Festivus. I can't remember, in case you're a Seinfeld fan. But regardless, stay safe out there, and thank you again for joining me. This Saturday. And you stay safe. Bye.